안녕하세요, 김 선생이에요. Hi there, I'm a Korean teacher Kim. Today I'm going to cover one of the most frequently asked questions, which is the differences between 은는 and 이가. In English, there is no such thing, and this difference is very subtle. That's why it is so confusing and really tricky to understand. Unfortunately, Korean learners get to see these confusing particles at the very beginning because they are the most commonly used ones. But with limited grammar knowledge, it is not possible to understand all the usages of these particles. So in this video, I'm going to explain the ones that are suitable for beginners. Okay then, let's get started. Before we begin our journey, I shortly want to point out why we have two options here. The perfect example to make you understand why these two options are necessary would be the indefinite articles. A is used when the following noun has a consonant sound, like a pencil, a cat. An is used when the following noun has a vowel sound, like an apple, an hour. Why? Because it's easier to pronounce. It is to avoid vowel plus vowel sounds. It is actually hard to pronounce. For the same reason, we have two options. 은 and 이 are used after a noun that ends in a consonant, like 연필은, 시간이. 는 and 거 are used after the noun that ends in a vowel, like 사과는, 고양이가. Let's really begin. I'm pretty sure you've heard 은는 is the topic particle and 이가 is the subject particle. But I'm not really keen on using these terms because I think these terms are not straightforward. For example, 저는 김소연이에요. I'm 소연 Kim. 제가 김소연이에요. I'm 소연 Kim. And here, 는 and 가 are attached to the subject. But this one is called subject particle and this one is called topic particle. You see my point? 이가 is actually a subject case particle which indicate the subject in a sentence. So it is only attached to the subject. And 은는 is actually one of the auxiliary particles, like an assistant particle. If you're an assistant, you have to be more flexible, right? So same here. 은는 can be attached to the subject, but also an object. Then what is the difference between these two sentences? Here, by using 은는, what I wanted to say is just my name. Because when 은는 is used, there is focus on what's followed by 은는. Usually, descriptions or actions are followed. That's why 은는 is used to introduce, explain, or provide information about the subject. For example, 저는 선생님이에요. I'm a teacher. 저는 스위스에 살아요. I live in Switzerland. Here, I'm giving you information about myself or introducing myself. And 은는 is used to talk about facts, truths, general knowledge of the subject. For example, 지구는 둥글다. The earth is round. 한국의 여름은 덥고 습하다. The summer in Korea is hot and humid. And here, by using 이가, what I wanted to say is I am the one who's called 김소연. Because when 이가 is used, there is focus on the subject. As a subject stressor, 이가 is used to make interrogate sentences using who, what, when, where, as a subject, and also to answer them. Not like in English, when and where are pronouns and also adverbs in Korean. Therefore, 이가 can be attached to these question words and make subject questions. For example, 누가 왔어요? Who came? 철수가 왔어요. 철수 came. Here, 누가 is the abbreviation for 누구 plus 가. There are two more like this. I plus 가 is 내가. 저, I, the polite form, plus 가 is 제가. One more example. 핸드폰을 사야 해요. I need to buy a mobile phone. 무엇이 좋아요? What's good? 삼성이 좋을 것 같아요. Samsung might be good. As you can see, these question words are used as a subject, and also 이가 is used to answer those questions. And please don't be confused with such questions like 이 사람은 누구예요? Here, 이 사람 is the subject. If you want to know how to make WH questions in Korean, please watch my next video. Then let's move on. 은는 is used to show some contrast. For example, 이 가방은 비싸요. 그런데 저 가방은 싸요. This bag is expensive, but that bag is cheap. 오전에는 일하고 오후에는 쉬어요. I work in the morning and I take a rest in the afternoon. As you can see, these adjectives and these verbs are used, which have the opposite meanings. One more example. 저는 차를 마셔요. I drink tea. Here, the object particle is used because of 마시다, as it is a transitive verb. I mentioned earlier that 은는 can be attached to an object, right? So when you use here 은는 instead of 를, then the meaning is a bit different. So when you say 저는 차는 마셔요, then I've noticed that you've used 는. So what I would expect to hear is something that shows some contrast. Like 저는 커피는 안 마셔요. I don't drink coffee. So 은는 can take 을's place when you want to show some contrast. 이가 is used to describe what the speaker has realized or observed. For example, imagine that you are at a fruit stand and you're about to buy some strawberries, and the seller offered one to try, and you go, 딸기가 달아요. By using 이가, you're saying the one that I tried is sweet. As we've learned today, 은는 is used to provide some information or to talk about general knowledge of the subject. In this situation, you're not trying to provide the information or try to talk about the general knowledge of the strawberries, right? So here you wouldn't say 딸기는 맛있어요. But if you want to show some contrast, you can use 은는 here. 이 딸기는 달아요. Then the seller would be very curious about what you're gonna say. Probably, this strawberry is sweet, but the one that I bought last time was not so sweet. You might wonder, oh, how can I distinguish this? You always need to check the context or the situation where it's used. If you ask me just giving me these two sentences without any context, which one is correct? Then I cannot tell you because it depends on the context. And next, this one is pretty easy. When the subject is introduced for the first time, new information, then 이가 should be attached to the subject. When the subject is already mentioned before, or when adding more information about it, then 는 is used. In this case, 이가 is like indefinite article, and 는 is like the definite article. For example, there is an apple. New information. The apple is green. The one that I mentioned earlier is green. So in Korean, it would be 여기에 사과가 있어요. 가 is used for the new information. 이 사과는 초록색이에요. 는 is used for the old information. Here, let's say we've just met. Then we say, oh, hi, nice to meet you. And you might ask, oh, what's your name? Then 이름이 뭐예요? 이 is used because 이름 is the new information. We were not talking about the 이름 before, and you brought that up. And to answer the question, I say 제 이름은 김소연이에요. Here, 은 is used because 이름 is the old information you just mentioned before. That's why 은 is used. One more example. When you go see a doctor, he say 어디가 아파요? Where does it hurt? Here 어디, where, is the new information. That's why 가 is attached. 다리가 아파요. My leg hurts. The leg is also the new information. We haven't talked about 다리 before. That's why 가 is used. So now you know why 이가 is used when you make an interrogate sentence using question words as a subject and also to answer them. And here comes the last part. 이가 is normally used with these verbs. 지나다, pass. 30분이 지났다. 30 minutes passed. 남다, be left. 4,000원이 남았다. 40,000 left. And here 있다 has two meanings. To be or to exist. 여기에 사과가 있다. There's an apple. The second meaning is to have. 돈이 있다. I have some money. 이가 아니다. To be not. 이가 되다. To become. These are a bit special. Like in English, these verbs need to have complement. For example, I'm not a student. I is the subject. And student, another noun, is the complement. He became a teacher. He, the subject, teacher, complement. Like this, here, 이가 are attached to the complement. Here, 이가 is not the subject case particle, but complement case particle. So in Korean, there are actually two 이가, subject case particle and complement case particle. 나는 학생이 아니다. 나, subject, 학생, complement, and 이 is attached to the complement. 그는 선생님이 되었다. He is the subject, 선생님 is the complement, and E is attached to the complement 선생님. If these are too confusing, you can just memorize them as fixed expressions. But you have to remember, these verbs are not 100% used with 이가. When you want to make a comparison, then 은는 can be used instead of 이가 with these verbs. For example, 카드는 있는데 현금은 없다. I have a card but no cash. Here 있다, 없다 verbs are used with 은는 to show some contrast. 이가 is used with adjectives that describe the subject's feelings or state of mind, such as 좋다, 싫다, 부럽다, 무섭다, 그립다. These are actually called verb-like adjectives because it means like, hate, envy, scare, miss. There are of course verbs for these. By adding ao 하다, you can make verbs out of these adjectives. These verbs are transitive verbs, meaning they need to have objects. So these verbs are used with 을을, the object particle. But these are adjectives, meaning they cannot take the object, but they need to have an extra noun. So here is my tip. Try to memorize these adjectives like this. For example, 좋다, be fond of. I'm fond of 철수. Here, this prepositional phrase, when you think about it, it is an adjective complement, providing further information about the adjective in a sentence. We've just learned 이가 is not just the subject case particle, but also complement case particle. Therefore, this sentence in Korean is 나는 철수가 좋다. Here, 철수 is the adjective complement. That's why 가 is attached. And here, 나 is the subject. So, in summary, when a sentence ends in adjectives or intransitive verbs like this, most likely there will be two nouns in a sentence. In that case, use 은는 with the first noun and 이가 with the second noun. One more example. 이 식당은 음식이 맛있어요. So 맛있다, delicious, and there are two nouns. This restaurant, food. 은 is attached to the first noun and 이 is attached to the second noun. It means the foods are great in this restaurant. I'm afraid to say that this rule cannot be always applied. For example, 이 식당이 음식은 맛있어요. Again, when you want to show some contrast, you can switch them. 맛있다, delicious is positive, right? So after this sentence, probably something negative would be followed. For example, 그런데 식당이 안 깨끗해요. But this restaurant is not so clean. Now it's time to check if you understood it or not. 제 남자친구, 한국 사람이에요. My boyfriend is a Korean. Here, 는 is correct because you're providing an information about your boyfriend or you're introducing your boyfriend. 저는 or 제가 선생님 되고 싶어요. 되다, become. I want to be a teacher. 선생님 is the complement. That's why E is attached. And the subject 저 is attached with 는. Unless you want to stress the subject, 는 is usually used. 우리 다음 주에 만나요. Let's meet up next week. When is good? 언제, 좋아요. Here 언제, the question words, is the subject in this interrogate sentence. That's why 가 is used. 철수, 지금 뭐해요? What is Charles doing now? What you want to know is what he's doing. So here, 는 is correct because when 는 is used, there is focus on what's followed by 는. So here there is focus. And to answer, 철수는 학교에서 공부해요. You're providing information about what Charles is doing. Therefore, 는 is used. 전화번호 뭐예요? What's your phone number? 전화번호 new information. Therefore, 전화번호가 뭐예요? My phone number is already mentioned. Therefore, 는 my phone number is blah 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 예요. 저는 or 제가 거미 무서워요. I'm scared of a spider. 무섭다, an adjective describes the subject's feeling, right? So, scared of what? A spider. Then 거미 is an adjective complement. Therefore, 가 is used. And here the subject I, 저는 거미가 무서워요. Same here. 저는 or 제가 철수 좋아요. 좋다, be fond of. Fond of what? 철수. The adjective complement. Therefore, 철수가 좋아요. Subject, 저는 철수가 좋아요. Here again, 좋다, good. The weather was great yesterday, but today is not so good. What's good? 날씨. The weather is good. And here, 어제, yesterday, 오늘, today, you're showing some comparison, right? Therefore, 어제는 날씨가 좋았는데 오늘은 별로네요. Last question. 어느 것, 제 책이에요? Which one is my book? 어느 것, which one, is the subject in this interrogate sentence. Therefore, 어느 것이 제 책이에요? Also the new information. 이것, 소연 씨 책이에요. This one is yours. And here, 이것, this, is also the new information. Right? Therefore, 이것이 소연 씨 책이에요. Is correct. I guess that's it for today. I hope you have a grip on when to use 는 and 이가 now. Do you find my video useful? Then please subscribe my channel. On my Instagram account, you can practice Korean with me. If you have any questions, leave me a comment. Thanks for watching. 다음에 또 만나요. 안녕.